Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Lisa's Coloring Corner. You're probably thinking, what in the heck do I have all this stuff out here for? Well, I guess the title of the video is sort of a giveaway. I had swatched out these Xena Color fine liners, and I was having problems with a number of them being dry or scratchier than others. They just weren't as juicy. And so I did contact Xena Color. They did send me a new set, and the new set is much, much better. So I do want to put that out there. Xena Color, was very, very easy to work with, and they did send me a replacement. But I happen to think, okay, I do have a video out that I think I put out last year on how you can revive your dried out Bics and Sharpies and your more budget-friendly alcohol markers. If I think of it, I'll link that video down below if you're, are interested in that one. However, do not do that with your Copics. No, that's not for those. Okay, I want to put that out there too. Anyhow, I thought, is there a way that I could possibly get these going? These are water-based. What can I do? Well, I found a way to revive them. Now, this is not to say this is going to work on every fine liner, and this isn't to say it's going to work on a fine liner that you've used up all the ink in. This is mainly for fine liners and other water-based pens, markers, what have you, that arrive dead on arrival. You have not used them, but they're dried out. So all we have to do is kind of refresh them with some more water and then leave them sit, and we can see if we can get them going. So I do have my needle nose pliers because, of course, fine liner tips are extremely small, so you need a needle nose pliers. I have a teeny tiny little pipette to get some water in. I do have a little cup of water here, so you can get these anywhere. You can get big pipettes. I like these real little bitty ones for things like this. I have a Kleenex there, and this is my swatch chart from when I swatched out the fine liners. Let me zoom way in. This one was pretty much completely dried out. I did this technique, and now it is working. This one was totally dried out, and now I got it working. So we are going to do this on a couple of other ones that I have put the opposite way in here because they were more dry. Like this one was pretty much dried out. And then I think this one, there were some others. But let's do the technique on a couple of these that I know were drier, and we'll see if it works. Okay, so this first tray then I got all going. I did have a few in here that I put upside down that were more dried and scratchy. So let's go with this purple one. Okay, now again, this one is quite dry. You can see that. It's not totally dried out, but it's pretty dry. Some of that I do think is due to the tip itself. I think sometimes the tip itself is not letting the ink out. It's not saying this is not a juicy pen. I think some of it has to do with that tip and whether it's maybe in there centered real well or what. But we're gonna get this baby going, right? Okay. So take your needle nose pliers. Now these tips are very fragile. They're extremely skinny. So do this at your own risk and do it carefully. I take my needle nose pliers and I grip it on that metal part and I just pull it out. So it is very, very small. Okay. Now, some of your fine liner sets actually do send you some replacement nibs. I want to contact, I know of 2 companies out there that send some replacement nibs. It's the dual brush markers, and they send a couple of brush nibs and a couple of the fine liner nibs. So I want to check with them to see if they would be willing to send replacement nibs. Just, you know, sell the replacement nibs themselves. Wouldn't that be awesome? Okay. So that leaves us with the pen itself. So what I do is I take my little pipette and I carefully put some water in here until I can see the water starting to come out. Okay, I can see it's up to the top. Doesn't take much, let me tell you. Kind of tap it down a little, because sometimes it's just a bubble, you know, that's forming over the top. Okay, then you take your little tip. Now, I typically start it with my finger because you have to make sure you get it centered back in here. Okay, now you want to do this over here because your water may overflow a little. Then I take my needle nose. Again, get on the metal part. And I'm not doing this very well. I'm shaky, can you tell? Worked just fine when I did it before. There we go. Okay, so now the nib is back in there. And I put the cap back on first. And I shake it. You can kind of hear the core swishing around in there, because just like your alcohol markers, you have just a teeny little felt core in there that the ink is in. So if it is dried out, doesn't mean there's no ink left in that core. Just means it needs to be regenerated with some water. Now, typically what I was doing is, these are, you know, doesn't have much of a cap there. But what I was doing out in the kitchen is I braced them up this way on the cupboard and I left them sit for a while. Okay, so I left it just sit that way so that it could kind of, you know, get down into the tip. But let's see how it's doing now already. And it's already doing much, much better. Can you see the difference? So I'm like, there's got to be a way to do it. And I just tried it. Not really thinking it was going to work, but it worked. So let's do that again with the other one that was pretty dried out. And that was this blue. Let's do it one more time on camera. So again, you go right on the metal part and not right up on the tip. Go down as far, you know, as you can when you pull that out. Okay. Take our pipette of water. You may want to do this, you know, either over your kitchen sink or, you know, definitely make sure you do it over the top of something. Okay, I think. Okay. It's all that'll fit in there. Let's get the tip back in. You can see you don't put much water in there because these barrels are so thin. So again, you grab it. Now, if you try to push this back in with your finger, with your hands itself, these bend very, very easy. And that piece that comes in, I mean, yeah, it's not much bigger than a little wire, you know, so they do bend real easy. So you have to be a little careful when you're doing this. Again, shake it up good. Can you hear that? That's the core inside. And the longer you let them sit, so I want to see what these are going to be like, you know, like in the morning after they sit overnight, even if they're sitting horizontal. You know, like I said, the other ones that I tested, I think I left them sit this way for maybe an hour and then tested them and they worked great. But I would think if you let them sit even this way overnight, in the morning, they may be even better. Let us see. Oh, I didn't swatch it before we did it, but it was pretty much like this one. And it's much, much better. Yay! I don't know. Should I do it one more time? Here we have a peach. Maybe I'll zoom in even a little closer. This is another one that was really... Oh, this is the this is the one that I was working on out in the kitchen over the kitchen sink. And for some reason, this is why I say you have to be careful. I was going to put the nib back in, and I must not have had it in the center or something. And I was taking the tweezers, or else my fingers, I can't remember. All of a sudden, it sprang back out, flew down into the sink, must have hit the drain just right that it went down the hole. So this pen does not have a nib. But I know I do have a couple spares somewhere around here that came with one of my other fine liner sets. So yeah, I got to get a new nib in there. It wasn't funny at the time, but I can laugh about it now. Okay, I have one more. This is a lilac color. Pretty dried, right? You must agree that's pretty dried out. Okay, so let's do it one more time. Pull it out. I mean, see how fine that is? But some companies should sell replacement nibs, especially if a couple of them are providing a few additional nibs. I've only seen it with some of the dual brush pens where it has the brush on one end and the fine liner on the other. Okay. Break that bubble up on the end. Okay. So, make sure it's in the middle. Then we push it back in. Again, a little bit of water's coming out. Put the cover back on. Shake it up a little. This one I don't hear the core in. Oh, there we go. Now, of course, this little bit is not going to totally redistribute that little bit of water we put in there, but it helps because it already colors much, much nicer. Still, I can tell needs to sit for a bit. Like I said, this is not going to just bring your fine liners back to life. But as you can see, especially if it's a color you really, really want, this does work. Does bring back, if you know that there's still ink in them. Like I said, you get them and they're dead on arrival. You know, when you get them and you swatch them and stuff, and they're already dry when you get them, basically. Because like I said, you know that there's ink inside there. It's just they're dry. So, because these are water-based, you just add a little bit of water with your little pipette. And it worked. Yay! So I just thought I'd quick come on, show you this little trick that I found out today. And I thought I'd share it, and you can go ahead and try it and let me know. Let me know if it works for you too. Okay, now this may also work for like the Statler Triplus, where they have the bigger nibs. I haven't tried this on those yet. I take no responsibility for any ruined nibs. You do this at your own risk. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you out. If you enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new to my channel. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. And as always, happy coloring. Bye, guys.